Fellow geeks and nerds, I'm Gareth and welcome to the Geeks Journal. Here we are, episode 2, second episode, second entry, second chapter. Anyway, lots of news happening this week, plenty for us to be getting on with, so let's just crack on. The cast list for Star Wars Episode 9 was released earlier this week on StarWars.com, indicating that Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Oscar Isaacs and Adam Driver would be reprising their roles from the last two films, also including some familiar faces of Anthony Daniels as C-3PO, Billy Dee Williams as Lando Calrissian, and OG Jedi himself, Mark Hamill, will be returning as Luke Skywalker. But what surprised people the most is that the late great Carrie Fisher would actually be returning briefly to this final installment of what they're calling the Skywalker trilogy by means of unused footage from Episode 7, The Force Awakens. In an article on StarWars.com, director J.J. Abrams explained that finding a truly satisfying conclusion to the Skywalker saga without her eluded us. We were never going to recast or use a CG character. With the support and blessing from her daughter Billy, we have found a way to honour Carrie's legacy and role as Leia in Episode 9 by using unseen footage we shot together in Episode 7. Okay, so I understand that they want to pay tribute to Carrie Fisher and give the character an exit that she deserves rather than just exposition explaining what had become of our beloved princess. And I agree that CG wouldn't have worked and a recast would easily have had the fans in uproar. But above all else, I am hopeful that the footage will do justice as we get to see Leia Organa solo one last time. As for the film itself, with filming set to begin as early as next week, I'm sure there'll be plenty of rumours and behind-the-scenes info along the way. Time will tell. So, recently it came about that Kristen Stewart could be in the running to play Barbara Gordon in the upcoming Batgirl movie. And while there's probably a fan base out there somewhere that is glad about this news, personally I would rather see someone in the role that didn't have the emotional delivery of a paper bag. It might sound harsh, but she always seems to have the same range, no matter what the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
To me, there are many other talented performers that could play the part, but nothing is set in stone as yet. Luckily, this is just a rumour at the moment, enough for me to moan to all of you good people about this entire situation. In the past, whilst names like Twilight's Ashley Greene, who has actually voiced Barbara Gordon, or Oracle, in the Arkham video games in the past, along with the Orville's Adrian Palicki, and Emma Stone have been mentioned in the past, the studio has mentioned they wanted to go for a slightly younger Barbara Gordon, which goes down the route of the Rebirth franchise that DC Comics has been working on over the last few months, which would make sense. That way they want to build on a franchise so a younger performer would be able to stretch that along. With that in mind, Haley Steinfeld could be a great fit for the role, and obviously breaking into more action roles with the new Bumblebee movie coming out. The movie, actually, the writer for the movie, Christina Hodson, is taking over scripting the film from Joss Whedon for the Batgirl script. And the 21-year-old Steinfeld could be a more appropriate age to what DC is looking for. Other names that have been battered about that have cropped up along the way have been the likes of Chloe Grace Moretz from Kick-Ass, Shailene Woodley, and Emma Roberts. But while the script is still being finalised, there's no sign yet of who will play the young Caped Crusader. It is going to be fun finding out personally who's going to get to see it, but who would you like to see play the role? Is there anyone out there that you think would be an incredible fit? Have a think. So, another casting that has people talking at the moment is, of course, who could be the next James Bond. It's a big topic. So, for as far as 007 goes, Pierce Brosnan has actually spoke out saying that Tom Hardy would be great. People have been saying Idris Elba, but at the moment Henry Cavill has actually stepped forward and said that he's ready and would love to play the role. I mean, I've got to admit, I actually prefer that idea to Tom Hardy for this. After watching him as Napoleon Solo in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. that Guy Ritchie made, he just seems to really fit that kind of super spy espionage role. All being well, maybe it'll pan out, who knows, but it's going to be a while before that comes about. But the second it drops, you can bet it's going to be on here. But of course, this is it. The big news recently, of the last few days, is how Disney has become one step closer to world domination as shareholders finally approved the merger between them and 21st Century Fox. Now, reports indicate that the merger will be implemented to the value of $71 billion. Crazy. Now, obviously, the main highlight for this for most of Nerdkind is that Marvel will finally get their hands on the remaining franchises that have eluded them for so many years. So, feasibly, we could then see the likes of heroes and villains from the X-Men and Fantastic Four, not to mention the possibility of Ryan Reynolds and Josh Brolin appearing as Deadpool and Cable. And they could feasibly all be included within the larger Marvel Cinematic Universe. But as much of a fun prospect as this is it necessarily a good thing that all of these properties will all fall under one banner? Does this just mean that the market could just become saturated with superhero movies more than it already is? Or could this be a strong move and potentially the final nail in the coffin for DC's cinematic universe?
That's rude.
How many of you are there? Not enough.
Well, that's all we've got time for this episode, but thank you very much for tuning in. Look out for upcoming installments soon, tackling the recent trailers from San Diego Comic-Con, and my true bugbear in the industry at this moment, which is simply reboots. Not a fan. But until next time, everyone, end of line.